What is up, everybody? It's the Hobby with Cage, and I start off every episode by saying, brought to you by Bleecker Trading. And wouldn't you know, I got Bleecker Trading here with me. I got Mark Zablow, and we got Evan Parker from On Mantel. It should be a fun episode. I don't know, I'm trying to think back over 200 and something solo episodes. I don't know that I've done a three-way here. And, look at these two very good-looking men that I get to have a threesome with. It's just amazing. It's I can't, because I how excited I am. And there's a cat. Look at this.
There's a cat. Four. We got four now.
We're mixing it up. It's a lot of fun. Listen, we're doing this episode days away from Fanatics Fest. And I thought to myself, who are the people to talk to? And I opened up Instagram and I see an entire slate of Bleecker Trading events. And I'm like, let me reach out to these guys and find out, because they're like, I see posts about Fanatics Fest and all the athletes, but when it comes to the hobby, what's being built in New York around that Fanatics Fest, you can't do it without Bleecker Trading. So welcome to you both. And we can just jump right into it. Mark, what's going on at Bleecker? It's not just Friday to Sunday. I mean, when do the events start? What are you doing in the lead up to this? Tell me a little bit about, what's going on at Bleecker in the lead up to Fanatics Fest.
I mean, no one's working harder than the team at Fanatics Fest and that crew. But I will tell you this, we're tired. It already started for us. We had a nice trade night last night, and, we have a lot coming up this week. But, yeah, it's very exciting, full week of events. Luckily, Mantel stepped in to partner with us, help us on programming, help us on experience, really looking to amplify what the hobby has going on at Fanatics Fest. As we know, there's a lot of incredible things from the sports angle going on there. But, obviously, you come to New York, it's kind of our job, our mission, to make sure that experience is felt. So, no better week for us. So, we call it the Super Bowl. So we're very excited for it.
So besides, and we can get into if you want to do the whole schedule, but I'd like to go, a little deeper than just kind of like the IG post of like, who's going to be there this night, the trade night, you name it, the whole deal, because everybody who messages me, they ask me two things. I'm coming to Fanatics Fest. I know you're going to be there. Hopefully we run into each other, but two things. Where should I eat around? And this is, wherever they're staying, like what steakhouse, where should I eat? Where should I get pizza? And two, what's the best day to go to Bleecker? What can I do at Bleecker? Can I go to Bleecker even when it's not one of the trade nights? I'm coming in on Tuesday. When are they open? What do I do there? And, that's a cool thing, right? Because, it's almost become sort of like the hospitality place for hobby members when they come into New York. You kind of extend an invitation to folks. You want, if we were clipping this right now and this was the next 30 seconds or a minute to the people who are out there in the hobby who are coming to the Fanatics Fest, but they might be coming Tuesday, Wednesday. Do you tell them, come down, charge your phone here? Like, what's the invite to the people, come to Bleecker or stay the hell away. We're going to be too crowded. I mean,
look, there's always a lot going on in New York City. We're we pride ourselves on being New York City's home for collectors. So anytime you come to Bleecker, I think is a unique experience. However, yes, every night with Mantel's participation, we have something going on, whether it's a trade night, a buying night, a brand doing a celebration. And to us, that's what you expect. We always call it the ESPN commercial where you walk in and Big Papi's using the printer and the Boston Reds mascots in the lunchroom. That's kind of what we see a little bit at Bleecker. You see a mix of all your favorite collectors, all your industrious, all your hobbyists, all your influencers. And so a little bit of programming sprinkled in, but the same uniqueness you would get, I think, any day of the year, just with a little bit more expectations on us that week.
And it's New York, so it's different than going to Rosemont or going to Cleveland or anything like that. I feel like at most shows, when the show shuts down for the night, you end up at like a Radisson doing a trade night. Everybody's sitting around ordering room service or whatever. This is New York, and I think if we don't do stuff, then people are going to disperse. Everybody's going to be going in different places, and the entire hobby is just going to be sprinkled throughout the city. Yep. So it's important to us to figure out, like at 6 o'clock when everybody's leaving Javits, where are they going to go? Let's keep everybody together and do some stuff that brings people together in a different way than you can do on the show floor. And so, as Mark said, it's trade nights, buy nights, whatever, but it's trying to get people build culture with collectors while we're all in the same city.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's amazing to see what they're doing, right? I mean, one of the nights there's like a WWE watch party at Fanatics.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough stuff going on, but
Sure.
here's the craziness, right? I rock the Bleecker hat all the time. It's amazing where you see it kind of pop up, what games, what celebrities, you name it. But the Mantel hat, it's not, it's keeping pace, right? So what I like to say with this hobby is, a couple of years ago, you don't have to go that far back. I mean, I was in my basement. My cards are still in my basement, but the hobby is kind of out of the basement a little bit now. Remember that whole little manifesto baloney? But someone like Mantel, when I see Mantel, I see you're partnering with Yahoo. Evan, if it's all right with you, can you tell me, spend a couple minutes, tell me about that. Like, how'd that partnership come about? What are you doing with Yahoo? Because that's a big deal. Like we could be at local shows, we could be at card shows, and it's, okay, we're the old dealers that I remember. That's a legit thing. Like that puts the space on the map, and Mantel's doing that. So, if you wouldn't mind, just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the hobby's exploding, and Yahoo's interested in it. They have this massive amount of people who come to their site every single day, and they realize that a lot of them are interested in collectibles or would be interested in collectibles because they're interested in sports. And the guys who run Yahoo Sports, Ryan Spoon, Sam Farber, these are collectors, right? Sam used to work at Golden. Ryan has his RJ Barrett collection, his toy collection. These are guys who love this stuff. And so I think for them, it gives them a chance to tell stories on their platform that they know it would be good for business, but they also really like for their own interests. And, I go back with both those guys when Ryan was at BetMGM and I was at The Athletic. We did a deal together, and Sam I've known for a long time. And so it was a perfect opportunity for us. We're trying to tell the stories of the collectors. Mantel's just about highlighting the stories behind these things that we all love. All the three of us know it. This stuff is like, I don't know, I got cardboard all over the place, right? It's not worth anything. Right. None of this is any, none of this stuff that I've got, like, this is all just pieces of paper, but there's the story behind it. And if you put the story behind it, then you're able to get people interested in it, and you're able to pull at the heartstrings or nostalgia or whatever that is. And then it becomes valuable. Then it becomes special. Then it brings people together. And so that's all we're trying to do, is give people a platform to tell the stories of things that they love, that they care about. Yahoo's giving us an even bigger platform where millions of people are able to now see hobby content, and we can go tell stories about what's going on in this industry and pull out the interesting things that make this actually unique. And it's about culture. I think that the hobby, you said it, it's been, the perception is it's in the basement. Yep. But it hasn't been that way. And there are a lot of people who are doing interesting things, who are, people who are pushing the envelope, people who are innovative and interesting and creative in their own ways. And we want to bring them together. And we also have a pretty cool hat, a couple of them. And I'm glad that people are walking around in these cities wearing Mantel gear. But I'll give Mark credit. When we launched the company, and, Mark and I go back to, his old agency days and my agency days. And seeing what Bleecker was doing, it's like, we don't have to do merch like everybody else. It doesn't have to just be the quarter zip that you see everybody wearing. Like, you can put something out there that people want to wear, not just because you want to represent your company or because you gave it to them for free, but because they actually think it looks cool and they want to wear it. And so, for us, it was what Bleecker was doing. Like, everybody should be doing this, but not everybody can. And I'm happy that we've been able to build a brand that people want to rep.
So here's what I'm hearing. And guys, if you're listening to this and you happen to be at Bleecker, this happens, right? It's not a dream. It can come true. Many years ago, several years ago, before Ohtani even got hurt, forget about his 50-50. When Ohtani was coming in the league and, he played a couple seasons and he was taking the world by storm, I was in the backyard of Bleecker being interviewed by some channel, some Asian news network. And the next thing I know, someone's sending me a video of me, like, it's Godzilla and it's Cage and it's me talking about cards. And I don't know what the hell was going on. But I don't know where the hell this thing was broadcast. But the same thing could happen to you. You could be in Yahoo. You might be, in the backyard of Bleecker and find yourself being written about, at Fanatics Fest. It's pretty cool.
Well, I think you gotta, equate it to a couple buckets, Cage. I love to believe I'm a collector. There's a lot of arguments if we're collectors or we're investors. There's a lot of arguments over the new wave of people being straight flipping investors, what they call that collecting. At the end of the day, though, the more eyeballs, the more media, as Evan talked about, the more attention and hype, it does drive the value of our collection. Now, sometimes that's good when you own the card. Sometimes that's bad, like when you're me chasing 90s inserts, which is completely. I can't buy 90s wax anymore. Rest in peace to 93 Top's finest.
You can't buy it because you opened it all.
No, you can't. That's true. And you got low grades. However, when you think about if you owned the biggest card in the world coming out of pandemic, the best thing that we ever saw was Ken Golden putting it on that Times Square screen.
Yeah.
If you go before that and you saw Gary Vee walking around the National in 2018 or 19, you saw grown men throwing their cardboard, jumping to go put their arm around them. It was because without Gary Vee going to that National, maybe like the Skokie Bugle might have wrote about what was happening in Rosemont at the National, but there was no media attention.
You know what's funny about it? Some of the cards that you talk about with Gary, like the media, take them or leave them, love him or hate him. There's a picture of him at the first National, I think my second National he went to, where he's finally bringing cards. He's in the airport. He's got his beanie on, and he's holding two cards like this. Like, I can find the picture for you. And in one hand, he's got a Jim Brown rookie, the PSA 8. In the other hand, he's got a Derek Jeter 93 Topps Gold PSA 10. I sold him both of those cards. And what's funny about that is those cards in my basement, they don't do anything for the hobby, but him having them, holding them, posting them, selling them. Like, I remember that Jim Brown, he actually sold that at the National, and it wound up on eBay, and the listing was Jim Brown PSA 8 rookie owned by Gary Vee. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but when you look at it, I spoke to a lot of those dealers. Why are you jumping around for Gary Vee? And Gary, as everyone knows where he sits on my Mount Rushmore. And they were saying, because without Gary, there's no press whatsoever. So you start to progress that, right? It was from that to Ken Golden doing to what, he did. And now you kind of bring that along to be able to put together a week of events. You have Mary buying on Tuesday. You have Mojo doing his dinner. Kyle, which I think, in my opinion, there's no better content. I could watch like an A&E show of 3 hours of Kyle just buying all day at shows. Like, to have that Thursday, and then to bring in some of,
better. Not one person you could think
at the shows, Cage. When you start putting Ian at the shows, I will maybe say there's someone to rock against Kyle. But till that, I think Kyle's really done an incredible job positioning himself at, above and beyond what people do.
And he could do a hell of an Owen Wilson impersonation.
And I'll tell you this: like, we see Mary a lot in store in New York. I wouldn't put her too far at second behind what you see in terms of the commitment and the engagement. However, we were going to do that anyway. If Bleecker, sadly, Card Ladder's not making it out this trip, because if they were, we've always done some incredible things with them. And Christina and crew out there have always just, allowed us to get very, very innovative with them. But we've done some really cool things with them. That tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, unless you were there. And so to us, we were going to do these things anyway. When we went into the week, we said, how can we make sure not that other people here, we're going to be packed at Bleecker no matter what, with no events. It's just welcome to New York City, welcome to the West Village, and then Super Bowl, the Fan Fest comes.
Yep.
However, what we looked at it was, if we can put those people in line with Bleecker and bring the element of Mantel in, God knows where that snowballs and that where that picks up to, and the benefit it brings to all our partners, from Mary and Kyle and Courtyard all the way to the industry, #1 pizza slice in New York, not voted by me, but voted by everybody else, who will be part of the week with us. Everybody kind of wins and benefits in that
industry. I had, hobby friends come and visit from Australia, Double Coverage podcast, those guys, and that's where we got pizza from.
Yeah, us cardboard nerds get the cut it. I like to say the line. I like to say so.
Well, that was great. We opened wax at Bleecker, and we looked outside, and the line was 40 deep. And the guys at Bleecker were like, "You don't have to wait on the line. We'll bring it in for you."
And you mentioned it before a little bit about that and the cell phone charge. And I think with Mantel, helping us this week, we have the second space next door to Bleecker open. Obviously, for people, drop bags, charge phones, grab waters, hang out, see New York. But yeah, truly want to be that destination this week for collectors, at least to come by anytime. Know they're going to be treated as a collector, and really be able to, use the space as something from a hospitable level, not just come in, show up, buy something, and keep it moving. However, being able to tell that story, above and beyond just what we do this week, but heading into national and heading into the rest of the year, obviously so much going on in the hobby right now, above and beyond Fanatics Fest.
Yep.
We expect to be very active with what Mantel has going on and continuing to tell those stories.
Mark's a brand expert, guys. And I usually in the first 24 hours get 1,000 people listen to this. Not as many watch it. But if you're listening to this right now, I want you to go and just flip over to the YouTube on this one, because what Mark has done is he's brought on Mantel in here. And there's 3 screens. And if you look behind Mark, it's a fireplace with a mantle. And if you look behind me, it's Mickey Mantle. If you look behind Evan, it's just Mantel. I mean, it's just branding everywhere.
Yeah, but you're a genius.
It's amazing
to connect that.
What he's done here. I mean, this is, look.
You are
behind us all. Mantel is everywhere. So speaking
of geniuses, what do you think about the combination of 2 geniuses in Ryan Cohn and Nat Turner?
Oh my goodness!
What a segue.
I got to tell you, the funny part about that, and we could really dive into that, is I get a bigger kick out of people talking about it who have no idea and don't actually add anything to the conversation and fight about it like as if they're like in the boardroom, right? Like, oh, it's happening and here's why it's happening. And then a video comes out and it's like, there's no way this is going to happen. I spoke to these people. First of all, here's what I'll say. If it was happening, does anybody really think Nat Turner is going to like say to Jeff Wilson, oh yeah, that's happening? That, it's halfway negotiated. There's no NDA or anything like that, Jeff. I promise you, it's, and then Jeff goes out and makes a video. Love Jeff, hate Jeff, whatever. What do I think about it? Honestly, I think it would be good for the hobby. I do. I think it would be good for the hobby. I really do.
2,000 grading drop-off centers.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, think about that, right? Like, it's great that PSA is expanding. And one of the coolest things you see them doing, right, is they got a New Jersey place now. They're in Germany. They're all over. They're expanding out. But, one of the things I heard when PSA kind of partnered with GameStop about, you can go and grade at GameStop, it was the people who listen to me and watch me and who I talk to all the time on DMs and Instagram who live in Idaho, right? Or who live someplace that, they don't want to put their cards, in the mail, the PSA. They're like, I went to GameStop. And they said it was easier at GameStop than, packing it up and having to research.
They have a cheat code. They just take your cards and throw a sticker on them. There's no form.
Yeah, no form, no nothing. And they said it's so much, it's less cumbersome of a process.
My last submission came back in 30 days too.
I mean, I got some couple submissions that have been there longer than 30 days.
Better grades with Black Jada Wolf, though.
Yeah, I mean, so that alone, just to have, listen, it's amazing to think about the way the world is, right? You remember, Amazon was a book place, right? And then, they were buying they were buying.
Right, I guess. Let me say it a different way, because Evan, I guess in your point of view, what would be big? Like what would elevate the hobby right now? Like you see it from a different angle of who's coming in, all these different companies, all these big investors. I think it's cool that $6 billion of GameStop is in the hobby. Yeah. So the merger of that and PSA is cool, but it doesn't, in my mind, bring new in, I think maybe it gives PSA a new home.
Yeah.
But like, PSA just opened at one of my locals here in the Burbank shop. That PSA's got a space there. Everybody who's going to Burbank, which is an incredible place, everybody who's going into that shop is probably collecting cards already. But a lot of people are going to go into GameStop who have never picked up any cards, or they haven't since they were a kid. And so I actually think if it happens, even if it doesn't, just the fact that you can drop cards off over there, you're going to be exposing a lot of people to collecting in new ways. And everybody always talks about, 10Xing the hobby and all that stuff. But a lot of times what we end up doing is just talking to each other. And so everybody, we're marketing this, but I'm going on a podcast with other collectors to talk to other collectors about other collectors that is being watched by other collectors, right? And if you just don't get out there and talk to somebody who's never picked up a pack, who doesn't like this stuff already, it's not going to grow. I think that's one of the things that Yahoo brings, because they are getting so many people coming to their site for fantasy football, for betting information, for news about sports, for things not even related to sports at all. And if they click a story about, SGA and Halliburton for the NBA Finals, and you scroll down and you finish reading it, and then it's one of our articles and it's about how, Halliburton's market has shifted since the final started, like, maybe now that person's going to say, oh, I'm a collector now because I'm a big basketball fan. This is my way in, that I can support my guy beyond just watching the games.
Evan, I'll go one step further, right? Because I think what you're talking about is the difference between horizontal expansion and vertical expansion from the hobby and from a business perspective, right? And you could speak about that because Mantel is not just limited to the hobby. It's not just limited to cards. I mean, you got everything, right? Watches. I mean, the whole deal. I think a GameStop PSA partnership, however that would work, right? You have gamers coming in. Like maybe you think about, like, it's not just sports cards. You go to Burbank, people are mostly, basketball, baseball, sports cards. I mean, GameStop, why is there no Grand Theft Auto cards yet? I mean, in Minecraft movie had cards, I mean, like you would think that a GameStop would be able to expand that. And if you see the growth in sort of the non-sport category, when you combine TCG, Pokemon, Magic, all that stuff, and throw in just the recent expansion of Disney from a licensing and IP perspective, partnering with Topps, who knows how much they can expand that, and that user base. That's more of a 10Xing, right?
There's endless IP when you get outside of sports, right? Like, how many sports are there? There's 5 or 6 leagues. But if you're starting to go through every single video game franchise, movie franchise, all of that, like, Magic the Gathering just launched with Final Fantasy, and that thing is going to sell an insane amount because Magic fans and Final Fantasy fans and then speculators and investors are all going to be scooping that up.
Yeah.
And that's the way that you get new people in. Somebody who plays Final Fantasy is now going to start buying their first cards. Maybe they play Magic the Gathering. Maybe they like that. It gets them to Pokemon. If you do that, the One Piece, and then all of a sudden you're out there and you're buying the new top series too.
Well, I think what's interesting too is, have you when you grade your cards at GameStop, they're giving you a cash offer on your cards now.
Right.
But the offers are not good.
It'll get better.
And I was talking to some friends about a piece of the game. They just opened, or either they opened or they're opening a new store in New York, and the shopping center they're in has a GameStop.
Yeah.
Talking to my buddy Rangs out in one of the Dakotas. I don't know the difference in them, but one of them. He has a store in the mall.
There's one that has Mount Rushmore. Not the Mount Rushmore cards, the actual.
One's got one is where Rangs and his son Elway lives, and one is when he don't. But in that Dakota, there's a mall, and there's a GameStop in the mall. And I'm curious for Rang, or for Piece of the Game, how it will affect them. But as I've been going into GameStop more and more, I almost think it's incredible because it's really creating two opportunities. One is what you brought out before, Cage. Like, you don't live near an LCS. It's an incredible opportunity to get a touch point into buying cards, grading your cards. Like, they really do provide some great services, even like selling supplies, which might not be easy if you live in the nowhere. But what I love, the other thing is there's probably a lot of people walking into a GameStop to pick up their cards, getting a low offer, but could just walk 3 doors down to that shopping center and get a really good offer from Piece of the Game or down the mall and get from Kelly's company. So I think it's pretty interesting when you think about it. It's, they're going to continue to improve.
So you know what I see? I was going to ask Evan if he thought it was a good idea or what he would do with the CEO, and I'm going to ask that right after. But here's what I would do, and then I'd love to hear what you would do. Why I think it works, Mark, is I go even a step beyond that. I don't want them taking it to the hobby shop in the same shopping center. So I think the GameStop app, which I don't even know if they have one yet, but if they do, if I'm the CEO, my two-step process here is I'm taking the cards in, I'm getting them graded, and not only am I doing an offer on them, right? I'm offering people, I want to buy the cards, I want to buy it back, or whatever, and now I'm creating repacks, GameStop repacks, gaming cards, TCG, sports cards. We're right on the app. You know what I mean? I have people on there, and now I'm going to insert in these repacks things that cross my brand, right? So you can get a card, but you could also get a $50 GameStop card. You can get a cut the line for a Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes out. You can get a free cord. You can get an upgrade on a, remote, or, there's so many other like interesting things they can do to kind of cross people over in that and add value, 20% off coupon, free grading.
We haven't seen gamifying of the hobby yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in that way. And I'd be shocked if they're not going to do repacks. All those cards coming through, if they're not doing repacks, what are they going to do with all that inventory?
Because you have some vaulting conversations to have. You have some. So, is there a Courtyard Arena Club play? Can let the conspiracy theorists and the tinfoil hats go nuts there? PSA, I think, has a good relationship with Courtyard. We see some co-marketing with them.
And can you imagine how big the database is for GameStop?
That's what I mean.
That's key. Yeah.
20 years plus of having people come in.
I imagine there's a lot of those people that have an account, stop paying the monthly, don't play video games, still get the email and collect cards.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then they have relationships with Sony and Microsoft and all those game companies and Nintendo that are not in the hobby, but certainly are covet people who are. And then there's so much
getting
crossover.
Exclusive GameStop Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they already have
a lot of good points. It's almost like if Panini and them got side by side, you could see a lot of great licenses come through.
100%. 100%. Oh, we beat the shit out of the PSA versus GameStop. It's a waste of time because Jeff Wilson said it's not happening.
Why are we even here?
So Jeff said
you should have shut me up 5 minutes.
Jeff said it's not happening, and so it's not. It must never be happening.
But Cage, I'll be fair. We need to bring it up.
Yeah.
Because does Jeff say it's not happening before or after you like to say things?
This is right. This is so 100% right. So I'm gonna say it's happening, and then tomorrow it'll be out there that it's happening. 100% right. 100%. You gotta love.
I think consolidation, by the way, is probably a good thing for the hobby. Anyways, there's so many businesses, so many small to large businesses, and we're all in a way competing with each other for the same eyeballs and the same people. And so, one, you have to get out there and talk to people who are not already in the hobby, and then we can't have us all spending money to beat each other without trying to figure out ways that, like, all right, here's some efficiencies. And that's why, like, I love working with Mark, because we're not competing on anything. If I win, he wins. If he wins, I win. We're just trying to get people to engage about this.
Evan, on that, right? I mean, you don't have to specifically, if it's, a Fanatics Fest, a National, any of the other events, right? If I just put you in charge, I wave Cage's magic wand, how do you have the hobby support businesses? How do you have the hobby like help, shine a spotlight on Mantel, a company that probably should stand out from all the other ones? If there's too many companies, what can the hobby do? What can somebody like, a Fanatics Fest do for a company like Mantel that maybe they're not doing? Or what is something they're doing that's really good? What about the National? Are they giving you the right space? Do you want? Go ahead. You can take it any way you want, but just
we've been lucky.
Right. There's a lot of companies. So
there are a lot of companies. There's not a lot of companies doing what we're doing, and I think we've been really lucky with the relationships that we have. Alexis Ohanian and Brett Montgomery are the two guys that came up with this idea. We've got Steve Aoki, Gary Vaynerchuk as investors in this thing. Ben Clymer, who started Hodinkee, which is in the watch world. So when we go into the watch community, he is the the Michael Rubin of the watch world, or you can compare him to people like that. So we've got a lot of people who are invested in time and attention. Candace Parker and what we're doing, which helps us get relationships in ways that are really important and open up a lot of doors. So I feel like everybody's been very gracious to us, but I also know that we're the upstart, we're new. And so everybody's looking out for what they can do for their own business today and not really thinking as much about where's this thing going to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. We're trying to be, agnostic here, right? Like, I'm not picking horses in this race. We want to get more people to collect and more people to just get deeper into collecting and find other people who like the same things that they like. If you go to Instagram, if you go to Twitter, if you go to Facebook, any of those sites, it's all about the algorithm. They're pushing content to you that they want you to see. Right. And you're going to get a lot of things in front of you that are going to be triggering, right? Like, I don't want to always know what's happening anywhere else in the world. Sometimes I just want to look at cards. Sometimes I just want to be entertained and see stories. And I'd rather not know what's going on outside my door right now. I'm not trying to be blind to it, but that doesn't mean 24 hours a day I want the entire world, all the information of the internet just being thrown at me. And so that's what we're trying to build, is a place that you could just go to. And our bet is that people are going to one day wake up and say, you know what? I don't feel like being in a bad mood right now. I don't want to deal with the trolls. I don't want to see what's happening in the worst places on earth right now. I just want to know what this guy just got because his PSA grades just came back, and I want him to see his reveal. I just ended up breaking my car, breaking cards, and I want to just go, hey, like I ripped these packs, and I'm going to show my friends what I got out of it. And that's what Mantel can be. And I know that this is self-serving. I'll be the first to say that. But if the hobby rallies behind what we're doing, it's better for everybody.
So let me take a stab at this, right? Because I mean, I say this to people all the time, and mostly it's because the hobby, I don't know if we just attract the drama or if it's just people who are, they're
everywhere
or whatever it is. But the thing that the hobby doesn't have, right? Like, it's great to be at shows. The National is great. We're in our little bubble, you know what I mean? And people get to talk to people in person. But 99.9% of the time, the hobby is done over, social media. The hobby is done over Facebook. It's done over Instagram. It's done over Twitter. And those things were not started as hobby social media platforms. Those things were existing social media platforms with a lot of warts, a lot of bots, a lot of advertisements, a lot of bullshit, a lot of politics, a lot of, things being forced on you, you name it. And what I like to say, I come into this space to try to avoid the drama, to try to, have an escape from what I have to deal with in the regular world. But I'm forced to go on Instagram, which I love. I'm on Instagram all the time. Twitter, the Facebook, I don't really do too much. I used to say I was too old to be on Facebook. Now I think I'm too young. But, the hobby's on Facebook. That's what happens. It is what you're trying to build. The Mantel is it's one of those things, but it's specific to the hobby and filter out all the rest of it. So you can come in and not have to deal with whatever it is.
That's all. This is stuff that should bring joy, right? Like, I know people collect and want to make money. Anytime there's money, then there can be tension in different ways. So I understand that aspect of it. But if collecting does not bring you joy, if you don't have fun doing it, what are you doing? Spend your time and attention doing 1,000 other things. Like, this has to add value to your life, or it's not worth it. And so we want to create a space that just celebrates these things that people come to because they want to have fun and get into the things that they love.
Easier ways to make money with less drama. Just open up
absolutely.
Anywhere near Mark.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
How many people are making a rainbow these days?
Yeah.
How many people are completing that set? So, I think it's something to be cool, like to still be able to read those old Beckett articles.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the stuff that gets posted on Mantel every day blows my mind, because you're seeing people who truly love this stuff, and they collect in a lot of different ways than I do. And look, like, I don't need to see people who buy the same stuff that I buy. I have a PC of sports broadcasters. I don't know anybody else who collects that, and I can't sell my Craig Sager voices of the game,
maybe
Brent Musburger autos.
Nice.
Like, this is shit that nobody else wants other than me, right? But
I have a bunch. I got Rich Eisen, fan of the game.
Yeah,
I got a whole bunch of Lefko.
See, I didn't want to get fan of the game. I don't have any fan of the game, because it shows what it's like, less about them as broadcasters and more about their fandom. Yeah. My rules on my own PC, and why do I have rules on my own PC? But it has to be them broadcasting.
But that's awesome. That's awesome. That in and of itself is awesome. You know what I mean?
And
there are some rare broadcast cards. There's a rare Ahmad Rashad card.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
With the Dream Team. Yeah, it is. Definitely.
Never seen that.
Oh, yeah. There's some rare broadcaster cards. You gotta look for them. There's definitely some rare broadcasting cards.
I got them everywhere. Saunders and I don't know why they're all on my desk. I got Dickie V and Breen and Clark Kellogg.
I love that you're doing this, right? Because it's weird. It's weird.
It's totally what
you collect, but that is what people should be on a platform being able to talk about. You know what I mean? That's what makes us kind of the weird hobby that we are together. Totally. I mean, it's weird, but it's awesome.
And I went to journalism school. I thought I was going to be a journalist. Now, I guess I can kind of pretend, because we've got this Yahoo partnership. But like, this is the thing that I was into, because I grew up in LA with Vin Scully and Chick Hearn broadcasting games, and Bill Plaschke.
All right, so I'm gonna bring it up. When is someone gonna bring back Dr. Beckett then? Like, is that the most underutilized piece of the hobby, or is it?
Yeah.
Or forgive me, should that have been done 2 years ago and now it's too late?
I would say it should have been done 5 years ago.
But is it too late? Almost. If not, all right. How about this? is it not too late, but are we getting on a cliff of it starting to be too late?
I don't know that it's ever too late if you do it in the right way. Like Mark, like Victory Magazine or something like that.
You can bring back Mickey Mouse if you do it the right way, right? I mean, I hear that, and Cage is not going to like that comment, but
I look at Victory Magazine or one of those that like is way more about culture. If Beckett comes back out and it's a pricing guide and it's in the same paper stock and everything, I don't think it makes a difference. I actually really
Evan, I'm talking Beckett brand, Dr. James Beckett.
Yeah.
Dr. James Beckett's got a great podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he really does. There's been great ways people have talked about, buy the Beckett brand, start a new media company, bring Dr. James Beckett back. My thing is, I think we're teetering on the time where there's so much new media and so much new people coming in that didn't grow up maybe when we all did. And no one has really done for the hobby and for Dr. Beckett except for himself.
Right.
I'm picking it up, right? Like NBC for the new NBA and NBC, like they're not doing like a Dr. Beckett like segment. You know what I mean? Like besides, like with all fairness, any of the main hobby outlets that did it now wouldn't elevate him.
Guys, I'm getting rid of my background because with the background you can't see this, but I'm going to show you this. Mark, you're going to love this. That's this right here. That's the Ahmad Rashad card. That's Skybox.
I love that.
It's Skybox.
You just gave me something to do now for a couple.
Go ahead and Google that. Ahmad Rashad.
I can't find it, right?
Why is he? Was that?
You find it on eBay.
Okay.
Was that like an all-star event? What's he doing on the card instead of it being football?
It's something to do. Yeah, you got to research. It was a promotional card for the first Skybox, the 1991 Skybox cards. I think they had a couple of them.
Mark, how do you not know? You've opened more Skybox than anybody on
because it wasn't in the packs.
I was 9 years old. I didn't know the promotional shit.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in the packs. It was definitely not. It wasn't in the packs. It was just like I think there were other broadcasters.
No, this is an expensive card.
Yeah, it's an expensive card.
What's it trading for?
I mean, the last one sold like $150 on eBay. Yeah. That's a lot of money for a fucking Ahmad Rashad. Excuse me.
I saw a PSA 8 sell for like.
I can't monetize your episode. Sorry, Cage.
Yeah. No, it's all good, dude.
For it to fit in my PC, I gotta get it signed too. These are all signed.
Man, you can get them signed.
The Ahmad and Willow card for $1 is pretty cool, but it's not the same.
I mean, listen, it's something's telling me that there were more than him. I think there might have been 4 promo cards that but there are people who build sets. This is what we this is kind of what you talk about on Mantel. This would be like a nice little like a Reddit, like a little hey, did you guys know? And you collect these 91 Skybox, that your set's not really done until you get those broadcaster cards, and they're not numbered. It's
There's a guy on Twitter. His name is Graffin Cards.
Yep.
I think it's the year after, the year before, like 91, 92. He's working on getting the entire set signed.
Wow.
And I follow him on Twitter. It's like I follow him for years. It's the coolest thing ever. It's the white background Skybox. What's that, like 91, 92, I think?
With the stuff coming off the ball.
Yeah, it's purple box and green box.
Yeah, I think
it's next year. Yeah, super cool. Graphing cards. Super dope.
I put my virtual back on, but Julie Moran, that's one of the other broadcasters. So, I mean, I'm telling you.
Love trading cards.
Sometimes it's weird what's in here.
Trading cards is cool, though, like.
It's weird cool. I mean, he says broadcaster cards and it pops in 1990 Skybox. They had broadcaster cards. I just, it's pretty nuts, right? Yeah. Everybody remembers the David Robinson card, but not the Ahmad Rashad. but listen, they're all lunatics out there like me. You know what I mean? That,
those are the people that I like.
Now all that stuff is hard to get and it's expensive.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's pretty nuts. Well, I mean, listen, Fanatics Fest. All right. Mantel will be there. The national Mantel will be there.
Yep.
What's a good event for you? Like, what's a positive Fanatics Fest for you guys? What's a positive national? I mean, obviously you're gonna make some have some meetings, you're gonna shake some hands, you're gonna kiss some babies. But like from a hobby perspective, do you want people to know who you are? You want people to sign up? Like what's a good event for you for both of those events?
Well, it's tough at all these events because Wi-Fi sucks and so nobody can actually download the app. But for us, the goal is just to get people to be familiar with our brand and to look at the app. Like, and that's why I love what we're doing with Mark, because we have a place people are going to come and they're going to be captive. We're going to be there. It's really hard at Fanatics Fest for anybody to break through the noise. You got Travis Scott walking around with 700 people trailing behind him, and you're waving over there and saying, "Hey, come on, stop over here and talk to me about my technology app." Nobody gives a shit, right? And at the National, it's the same thing. There's a 52 Mantel over there, and there's the jersey that Babe Ruth was wearing when he hit the, when he called his shot. And I'm the guy saying, "Hey, you want to like spin the wheel and talk to me?" And no, I don't want to spin the wheel. If I was the guy on the other side, I don't want to spin the wheel and talk to me, right? Like, so it's really difficult to break through the noise. And so for us, though, the more things that we can do, the more storytelling we can do. And we're working with the National to tell stories. And we're going to be talking to a lot of the people who are going to have booths and a lot of the brands that are going to be there to figure out the cool stories, things that are just not being told. I don't want the press release. I don't want to regurgitate what could be out there. I want to find the collector with the interesting story. The person like me with a weird PC, like what is that? And let's tell that story. And the same thing that we're doing for Fanatics Fest. And so we just want people to know that Mantel exists and come on, download the app and try us out. I can guarantee that, one, it's going to be way less stressful than anything else you're doing on the internet or on your phone. And then two, the more people who come on, the better it'll get. And every single day, Mantel is better than the day before, because we just added a bunch of people who are now on top of the people who were there before. And you're going to find somebody else who likes the same thing that you like. You're going to see something that you've never seen before, something interesting, somebody who's like, okay, that's the way I want to collect, or I don't want to collect that way, but I'm happy as hell that there's somebody out there who thinks that that's cool and is interested in it. And then the other thing I'd say, Cage, is that it's not just cards. And I think that too many businesses have been built, and this is why, we go back to PSA and GameStop. There's too many businesses that were just built for one thing. And if you bring gamers together with cards or something like that, now you're bringing people have multiple interests. I'm somebody who collects cards, collects memorabilia, I collect stock certificates. I'm a watch collector. And, the car that my daily driver is a 1988 car, because if I have to be in the car driving through LA, I want to be comfortable and having fun in it. Right. So I drive an old Benz that is like the thing that I watched when I was growing up, that everybody on my street that were like the rich people in town, that's what they were driving. That's what I want if I can ever afford it. And it's
an 88 Benz. What is that? A diesel?
It's not. I didn't get the diesel. But it was cheaper than buying a 2003 Prius, because it's not collectible yet, but it's collectible to me. That's the kind of thing that we were building Mantel for. So you're going to see posts about watches, or if you follow, you follow the topics that you care about, but stamps, coins, watches, whiskey, whatever people collect, buying art.
All right, Evan, I'll put you on the spot, right? Because your company is on Mantel, and I'm guessing that has nothing to do with the mantle behind my head, but more about the mantle behind Mark's, right? Yeah. So it's what are you putting on your mantle, right? So
and I appreciate you making that distinction.
Your watch, your whiskey. I mean, you can't put a car on your mantle, but one card. So give me, you're making your mantle. It's sort of like a Mount Rushmore. We talk about this all the time, but obviously it's more than just cards. And because you didn't know that this Bob Costas Skybox card even existed. See, I hate the virtual background kills this. But you can kind of see
That's sick.
Bob Costas. So the 4-card set, Mark, I found it. Ahmad Rashad, Bob Costas, that Julie Moran with Michael Jordan on the back of that card, and Pat Riley with the Lakers as like a broadcaster. It's a 4-card promo, like no number.
Mean.
Gotta get in. All right, so I did that. I bought you some time, Evan. I bought you some time to think about what your answer is. So
I was too into it. You
you wanted to see the Bob Costas.
Yeah, like that's way cooler. That would be on old Bob Costas would have been. He's the last year or two.
There's a really cool site. Maybe you'll buy it. Maybe you'll incorporate it. Maybe you'll partner with him. It's called Trading Card Database.
Yeah.
I love that site.
Nuggets out there, right? TCDB.com. Trading Card Database.
Absolutely.
If we're having a conversation and I remember the Ahmad Rashad, I can't think of what the other cards are on the set. That's where I go. I can find the cards. I can find the checklist. I find pictures of it. It's really cool. I don't have any. I don't have a partnership with them. I got Arena Club and I got Bleecker Trading Card Database. I use them. Auction Report. I use them. It's fun to kind of share with people usable helpful information. What do you got? Give me a card. Give me a whiskey. And don't cheap out on me. Don't tell me you're going to put a Patek Philippe on there. Don't tell me you're putting a Pappy, Van Winkle on there. I want to hear some smart guy stuff.
I'm just going to show you the things that I have.
All right, even better. Real life.
I mean, this I picked up this last week. So this just happens to be sitting on my desk. And I know it's not the rarest card, but
Lou Alcindor 1969 Topps rookie card for anybody who's not. I can't see the PSA slab, but it looks
it's a 1.5 because I'm not rolling in it.
Does it have a pinhole in it or bad creases?
It's got a bad crease across the top. And I don't care because I never buy based on the grade. I just I want this thing. I grew up a UCLA guy. I grew up a Lakers guy. It's Kareem. It's the the greatest center to ever play, and had to have that. And so that's a card that I'm incredibly stoked just to have in my collection. My car, you couldn't give me another car that I would want more than this thing. In 88, her name is Rosalinda. She is navy blue with Palomino leather. Cherry, beautiful. The guy who owned it before me, I'm the third owner. The guy who owned it before me babied the hell out of it. The person who owned it before him never drove it. It was an old person, just sat in the garage. This thing, I've never had anything in my life that more people will compliment. Every single valet driver, every single car wash guy, it just this thing just gets so much love. And I mean, I'm gonna start welling up talking about Rosalinda because she is just a beauty. So that's on my
the name of the car for the owner before you. Or did you change
no,
it?
that was my name.
You named it Rosalinda. I'm not going to ask. I don't want to know.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I mean, everybody wants to know, but
yeah. I got some Vin Scully stuff back there and some Sandy Koufax. So as a Dodger guy and Sandy and what he meant for the city. So that's always going to be, I've got a Vin Scully signed check. It's to his pool company. And that to me, it's just, that's the weird stuff. I get so much more excited about the weird stuff than I do about anything that's everybody else can get or has. So that would be on it. And then a watch that I just love. And you told me I'm not I shouldn't go right down the middle, but I have from my birth year, I've got a GMT, a Rolex, the Pepsi, and it's beaten to hell. It's got a lot of patina. It looks like it went through war. And it's just, to me, it's the perfect watch.
And what's the watch named?
If
you name your car Rosalinda, you got to come up with a nice name.
I don't know. Maybe I have to start naming everything in my life, but the car just has so much personality in a way that nothing else can.
Call the watch the Challenge.
Yeah,
because it's the Pepsi Challenge.
I like that. All right.
See, remember the Pepsi Challenge?
Yeah, of course.
How about bourbon?
I'm trying to think of. I've got some Weller downstairs that I really like to drink, but went for my bachelor party many years ago to High West, and so so High West and their Boo Rye I love. And when my wife and I went to for our anniversary this past year, we went out to Park City, and we went to the High West Distillery, and she got me a bottle of the Midwinter Night's Dram. And so High West would be on the mantle for sure.
See, but as an expert, when you say your favorite bourbon, you can't have a rye.
It's a Boo Rye, so it's bourbon rye. It's a blend.
It's a blend. But I mean, the mash bill is very different between bourbon and rye. One's a corn and one's a rye. It's different grain. The bourbon's got to be corn.
I didn't know I was going to be grilled like this.
Come on now. I mean, if I ask your favorite bourbon, you give me a rye. I mean, I got a really nice bottle of rye. It's a Booker's.
I like Booker's.
They didn't really make rye. I got a pretty cool bottle of Booker's. But
Booker's great.
Yeah, I listen, my wife likes Blanton's, and then all of a sudden it was in every TV show with a bottle with the horse on top of it. It was in everything, and all of a sudden it tripled in price.
And you know why else, though? Because of asshole collectors like us who are because they got the little letters on the top of the Blanton's, and so I've got buddies that have trays built to get every single different letter that they put onto the tray.
The whole alphabet, the different tops.
It tastes Blanton's is delicious. I love the little bag that it comes in. It feels like you're getting something kind of fancy. Yeah. So I respect that. I think your wife's onto something that's just expensive and hard to get.
I mean, I have several bottles from before it was expensive. We don't really drink that much. I got a cool one. The coolest bottle, though. You ever seen a bottle of Bibb and Tucker?
I don't know.
Yeah, take a look at that. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. So there's the Blantons for anybody who doesn't know Blantons. You see, it's got a cool little horse.
So wearing its fishing.
I got Casa Azul too, man, but not the black bottle.
You caught me in the wrong spot in my house.
You're rolling deep.
I just moved, so I got all my alcohol right behind me. You got me in the wrong boxing ring right now.
It's good to keep it right as close to the fireplace as possible.
What's funny is I don't drink whiskey or bourbon, but
like this guy.
One of my clients for a while, Evan, was High West.
I feel like I'm a pirate. You pop.
You just pop it out.
and you drink it. You got to take the virtual background off, otherwise you can't really like show stuff. But yeah, listen, bourbon big in my house.
Yeah,
that's the drink, but mostly for my wife. We go out and we'll order a beer and a bourbon, and they always bring the bourbon to me, and she's like, "No, that's mine." He's the lightweight. He's the Michelob Ultra over there. It's fun stuff. But I mean, listen, it's cool because I like cards. Is wine on there by any chance?
Can be, yeah. But there are wine collectors, and that's the thing. Nobody collects just one thing, and so most of us have multiple interests, and we wanted to build something not just for the collectible, but for the collector themselves, which means that you can't say this is the only thing that you can talk about, and you've got to go to another site, another platform, if you want to talk about that other thing. Yep. When I got into watch collecting, I'd go to the Rolex forum, and you'd post about things and you'd ask questions there. And then if you wanted to talk about basketball cards or baseball cards, I got to go over to Blowout or Net 54. And now I'm going to 2 or 3 different places, and I'm just one person who just likes to collect. Let me go to one spot for it.
I would love if Mantel got into wines and tell me how to sell my wines. I have a lot of stuff, but I don't want to go to a wine auction house. It's crazy. And there's different rules about it too. But listen, we're approaching an hour on this. I think we've done some fun stuff. Evan, great conversation. I'd love to have you back on. Maybe we can talk after the national, kind of like how it went. Maybe you got some cool stories. Maybe met people and that kind of stuff, and we'll do that. But you are basically sponsoring, the Bleecker Trading Week leading up here to Fanatics Fest. You're helping them out. You're doing all that fun stuff. Mark, last year, weather, craziness, flight cancellations, and it ended and no one was able to fly home. And Bleecker kind of became sort of like the place to go, right? People with luggage, I remember seeing the post on it. It's like, okay, if your flight got canceled, come on down, we'll hold you. It was almost like, the Statue of Liberty, give us your poor, come on down, we'll take them all.
Your hobby. Yeah, look, we expect that this year. We'll have some fun stuff. Mantel will be there with us on Sunday. We'll have a lot going on, just to make sure that people that are either leaving Sunday or leaving Monday have a place to go. In the meantime, if you don't have tickets yet, they are expensive. However, they are, well worth it. We appreciate anyone that can come to Bleecker. If you use Bleecker Trading, when you buy your ticket on the promo code, you do get a $25 gift card to Bleecker if you're in town. So if you haven't bought tickets yet, and you plan on coming to Bleecker, we'd love for you to have, just a gift card before you get in. But we really looking at it as a chance to, really connect with the hobby, be as hospitable as possible, and please everyone. If you're coming in, doesn't matter when, there'll always be something happening that'll make it worth the trip.
I mean, Fanatics Fest might be Friday to Sunday, but it sounds like Bleecker is making a whole week out of it, right?
Yeah, we start Monday. It's exciting. We've been loading up on a lot of the 1990 and 2000 Topps basketball products. So
but I open when I'm there.
Yeah, expect to see a lot of fun to rip.
That's what I open. I mean, my LIR, my railroad trip home is always me and my son, or just me by myself opening, old Fleer packs. Like, I got a Jordan, I got holy cow.
Well, look, last year we went pretty late some nights with the Travis Scott products. It got pretty crazy. So who knows what it'll bring this year. I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff too that Fanatics puts out that'll make it really exciting once we get back to the stores after.
All right, Evan, any parting words to the people who might be listening to this? Anything you want to see at Fanatics Fest? Anything you want folks to know about Mantel?
Come by
the same color as the Mickey Mantle card. Like, it's the same. Look at that color. Is that on purpose?
It's washed out because it's on the TV. It's a much darker green. But look, I appreciate you calling out the name because it is after the Mantle behind Zablow, but with a nod to Mickey. And I've gotten a lot of people, if you look on Twitter and Blowout and stuff, people are like, these guys don't know how to spell Mickey's last name. It's not that. I didn't want to get sued by Mickey's family.
Damn.
But we got a good double meaning there with the Mantle. You put the most important things in your life. That's where the photos of your kids go and the best cards that you've got. And that's what Mantle's all about. So I hope people come to Bleecker. We're also going to be hanging out with Bleecker on the show floor. So if you're at the show, we're going to be over there all day throughout the show. We'll be at the National. But look, at the end of the night, like everything ends, Mantle's still going. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so when there's not a card show, if you're not able to go to Fanatics Fest, but you're watching this and you want to feel like you're there, come hang out on Mantel. There's going to be really good content. People, you can join, post. It's all free. And there are no trolls. And if you're a troll and you're watching this, please don't ruin it for everybody else, because it is one of the few places that doesn't get your blood pressure up, and it'd be really great if we could keep it that way.
I envision a cool place where you are trading watches for cards or bourbon and all that.
That's the thing, right?
Funny is that almost happened at Bleecker. Moses the jeweler was at your store. I almost traded him a card for a Rolex at your shop.
We've seen a lot, Cage. We've seen a lot.
It's pretty funny. But guys, listen, I appreciate you. You know, the appetite and the attention span of my audience is probably less than most. So I out of respect for them, we're going to end it here at 55 minutes.
Out of honor of your shirt, you continue to bomb atomically, Cage. So we appreciate that.
I saw a little bit of that peeking out.
It's for the children.
Keep chopping heads.
Protect your neck. All right, guys. We'll talk soon.
Be good.
Thanks, Cage.